A disturbing find inside a Bluffdale townhome.
Family members hadn't heard from them and became concerned.
Shock and really sad.
What neighbors say they noticed days before that is so unusual.
Tracking cold and breezy conditions here across the state tonight. I'll let you know what you can expect for your Friday morning commute and also the timing of our next storm.
Public transportation, electric cars, and electric bikes. A lot of people are pursuing different ways now get to work with prices so high.
It's time for him to be fearful of what we might do.
As Russia continues its war on Ukraine, Utah Senator Mitt Romney says the U.S. has waited long enough to send help.
See, there's your pronouncing guide right there.
And did you know Utah almost had its own alphabet?
Brigham Young had complete and utter autonomy and power.
How it worked and why it never caught on. Tonight, Bluffdale police are investigating after 2 people were found dead inside a townhome by family members.
The scene is near 151st South Wild Horse Way, and police are still there tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph spoke with several neighbors. Spencer, what are they telling you?
Well, neighbors tonight are obviously shocked at this whole circumstance, saying that this actual area in terms of these townhomes is very, very new. In fact, a lot of them are still under construction. So they say they really haven't gotten to know a lot of their neighbors, but tonight a lot of them are talking about how disturbing this is to be in their community.
I'd seen them before in passing. I saw them like put up Halloween decorations when we lived here, but never really talked to them before.
Shock and really sad for whoever the family is.
A brand new neighborhood in Bluffdale is in disbelief as police make their way through the home where 2 people were found dead.
I mean, they seem nice. I always saw them through their window because they always had their blinds open, just cooking dinner and watching TV. So from what I could tell, they seem like nice people.
Xavier Martinez lives right next door.
Earlier this morning, when I was leaving for work, the police officers knocked at my door and just kind of asked me questions about them, and if I talked to them, if I knew anything about them, told them the same thing, that, you know, seen them in passing.
Family members hadn't heard from them and became concerned, and so family members showed up and located the 2 individuals inside the home.
Police are now looking for answers.
We did canvass the area, talked to some neighbors, and sounds like these guys kept to themselves, were quiet, didn't know anybody, didn't know any neighbors.
I mean, I talked to like a couple of the neighbors before, but no really close relationships yet since it's so new. So it's, yeah, sad that we didn't get the chance to know them better.
But there's something that stood out to one neighbor. Holding up the crime scene tape was this trash can, and those here say it's been out for at least a week.
Noticed it a few days ago that it's just been out, and I'm just kind of a little OCD, like wondering why they hadn't put in the trash can.
Police say the investigation will last into the night.
Cross all T's, dot all I's. Again, that's why our crime scene technicians are out here. The medical examiner's notified and responds. Our investigations division comes out and responds.
But as they do for those right next door, this isn't the day they had hoped for.
Honestly, I think it's probably the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. I just was shocked to find out that our actual next door neighbors this happened to.
The medical examiner's office has just removed those bodies from the scene. The investigation is still ongoing at this time as police still piece together what happened. They say they don't believe there's a threat to the surrounding community, but at this point they don't know exactly what led up to this happening. And of course, we'll keep you updated with the latest. Live in Bluffdale, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you. Tonight, a 13-year-old Roosevelt girl is safe after being found this morning in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Fox 13 News is no longer identifying her at this time because she is a victim of a crime.
Take a look at video of a vigil held for the girl last night in Roosevelt. Police said the girl was found in the back of a semi-truck driven by 25-year-old Chris Evans of Florida. Now, authorities have determined the girl had been communicating with Evans for about a month using Oculus. That's a meta program. Cheyenne police were able to locate them within an hour of identifying Evan as a suspect. He could face charges of kidnapping and harboring a runaway.
It hasn't happened since the Great Recession of 2008. Utah has set a new record high for average gasoline prices at $4.31 a gallon. That is 1 cent below the current national average.
And the sticker shock at the pump has many Americans planning to make some changes. A new survey by AAA reveals that with the cost of gas at least $4 a gallon nationwide, 60% of Americans say they will change their driving and lifestyle habits. 80% of all drivers surveyed say they will drive less, all to save on fuel. And that does include, of course, many Utahns as well.
As Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser reports, some drivers are exploring cheaper, more environmentally friendly modes of transportation.
Utah gas prices are hitting state record number highs, and other commuters want to remind you that driving isn't the only way to get around.
A great time for people to sit down and say, okay, what can I do? What are the alternatives? Where can I save money?
Riders of Utah Transit Authority's Front Runner say they've seen more passengers aboard the train this week. They think this could be the start of people ditching gas and choosing public transit.
Said it's cheaper driving in, and so they're kind of finding out, hey, instead of spending outrageous gas prices, it's cheap, and it's only like $7 a day by going back and forth.
Carl Arkey says it's too soon to determine if passenger numbers are related to the recent spike in fuel. But with one-way tickets only costing $2.50 a day, he says, why not give it a try?
It'll make a difference in people's personal finances, their own pocketbooks. It'll also make a difference in the air that we breathe.
A lot of people are now considering buying electric cars or e-bikes like this one. And at Salt Lake e-bikes, they're already seeing the demand.
A lot of people, especially our folks down in Salt Lake City, a lot of them are wanting to start commuting.
The shop is located on South 700 East, right across the street from Liberty Park. Cameron Anderson says the average price for an e-bike ranges from $2,000 to $5,000.
They are designed to be commuters. They're designed to withhold, the rain, snow, whatever it may be, excessive hot temperatures or cold.
If prices at the pump continue to rise, Salt Lake e-bikes expects more people will make the switch.
On an average charge with an average bike here, you can go about 70 miles on one charge. And that's a big reason a lot of people are wanting to switch over to commute. You feel the breeze, the sun's on you, it's a fun time.
Reporting in Salt Lake City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Beautiful day to go out bike riding as long as you're bundled up real good.
Need a heavy coat outside. Yeah, bitter cold temperatures tonight, Allison.
Yes, and more of that for tomorrow morning. Potentially some of the coldest temperatures that many of you have seen this season first thing tomorrow morning. Some record lows are possible. We do have a wind advisory for lower Washington County and then some warmer temperatures for this weekend. Then some more chances for some rain and snow. So let me show you the wind, what we're going to be expecting tonight, mainly across southwest Utah. The areas in purple, 45 to 55 miles per hour. So we're mainly tracking this down through Washington County, our strongest winds, 11 o'clock tonight into the early morning hours by 4 a.m. These are gusty canyon winds. So we've got a wind advisory for I-15 south of New Harmony down into lower Washington County. And what we're going to have into tomorrow afternoon is much calmer conditions for you. Temperatures the next few days will also be on the rise, but tonight and tomorrow, very cool. 26 currently in Salt Lake, 24 for Provo, 21 in Cedar City, and close to 40 right now in St. George. Mostly clear sky, about 15 when you first wake up tomorrow here along the Wasatch Front. I'll have your forecast coming up, including the timing of our next storm.
All right, Allison, thank you. St. George police are asking for your help tracking down a missing teen. They tell us Isaac Thompson ran away on February 11th. He returned home yesterday to collect some personal items before leaving again. He's in contact with his mother but will not say where he is. If you've seen Isaac or know where he is, call St. George Police.
They could very well be already on someone's network, and you might not know it.
With escalating tensions with Russia, how concerned should we be about cyber attacks? What one Utah FBI agent is seeing and how you can protect yourself.
Mr. Levitt, at the present time, has indicated that he will basically do what he wants.
Members of law enforcement have voiced their lack of confidence in him Now state lawmakers are concerned the Utah County Attorney is going too far. What they're planning to do.
And how close was Utah from having its own alphabet? We'll explain in the latest installment of Uniquely Utah. In world news, the latest round of talks between Russia and Ukraine ended without progress today. The meeting held in Turkey failed to establish a 24-hour ceasefire or humanitarian corridor for civilians. Ukraine continues to ask NATO to establish a no-fly zone over their country, a request NATO allies have resisted. It's a step many fear could spark a wider war, a war Ukraine says has already hit a global scale.
2 million of refugees in Europe. The nuclear threat, because Putin continues shelling the nuclear plants in Ukraine, which brings up a tremendous threat to the whole world.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris visited Poland to underscore America's commitment with its NATO ally after shutting down Poland's offer to get fighter jets to Ukraine.
It's time for him to be fearful of what we might do. This is war. People are dying. We need to get this aircraft immediately to the people of Ukraine.
Today in the Senate Foreign Policy Committee meeting, Utah Senator Mitt Romney said the U.S. has waited long enough to send the aid being requested by allies and Ukrainians. This comes after the Defense Department rejected Poland's plan to provide MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine.
It's a bipartisan message. It's not just us. Democrats are saying the same thing. Send these MiGs. And the question is, well, why aren't they being sent? Because we've heard now for days that this is something that's being discussed. Enough talk. People are dying. Send them the planes that they need. They say they need MiGs. People say, well, maybe that's not the ideal weapon for them. That's what they say they want. They're there. They have the eyes to determine what they want.
Senator Romney believes the only way to get Russian President Vladimir Putin to stop attacking Ukraine is to get him to fear the U.S. more than the U.S. fears him. What's going on in Ukraine could spread around the world.
Cyber attacks could disrupt businesses, utilities, and other targets. Fox 13 News reporter Eliana Sheriff found out why taking action now is going to be your best protection.
We are very concerned that Russia is going to attack us at some point if they haven't already. They could very well be already on someone's network, and you might not know it.
With our reliance and connectivity online only growing, the ability for governments and non-state actors to cause massive problems via cyber attacks is a very real and potentially deadly strategy.
I think we're a target regardless of the Ukraine situation. We're always going to be a target.
Dennis Rice, the special agent in charge of the Salt Lake City division of the FBI, says the agency has been proactive with putting out information to private sector partners to protect their networks.
This is some of the malware we're seeing. These are some of the digital signatures. These are some of the indicators of compromise, like IP addresses.
Eric Talbot Jensen, a professor of law at BYU, says Russia has used cyber tools in the past to create drastic effects to Ukraine, like shutting down power plants in the winter.
So Russia has a past history. They're very capable, very effective at doing this, and they have certainly shown that they also are very willing to do this.
Well, how's it going to impact you, the average citizen? If your local police, fire, EMS gets impacted with ransomware and they can't respond to a call.
Experts recommend practicing cyber hygiene, like updating your protections on your computer, because in many cases, these malware are effective because people haven't taken action to keep their computers safe.
I think the U.S. government is doing all they can to prepare for that risk. It would be another clear violation of international law for Putin to cross that line. And there are some disincentives for him to do so. So I'm optimistic that he won't, but you never know with President Putin.
Now, if you are the victim of a cyber attack, you are encouraged to report it. The FBI says the more data they have, the better, as they try to fight this growing problem. In Salt Lake City, Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you would like to file a complaint for any internet-related crime, you can do so online with the Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. We do have a link for you on our website, fox13now.com.
A week after Governor Cox announced Utah liquor stores would remove all Russian products, the DABC announced a Ukrainian vodka will be added to the inventory. The DABC supports Governor Cox's executive order to no longer sell Russian-made alcohols. Status vodka, however, is from Ukraine and is a gold medal winner at the International Tasting Competition and will be available in the coming weeks.
Looking for ways to help right now? Fox 13 News is happy to be teaming up with the Larry H. and Gail Miller Family Foundation for its Driven to Assist donation drive, all to benefit refugees fleeing Ukraine right now. Go ahead, scan that QR code on your screen. You can do it right now. It will take you to a site where you can donate. Monetary donations, they will be matched up to $2 million and then will be distributed to trusted organizations assisting those displaced by war. Again, scan that QR code on your screen, or you can go to our website, fox13now.com.
And also keep an eye on your screen. I've got a gorgeous sunset to show you tonight. Thank you so much to Eric for posting this in our Facebook group, Utah's Weather Authority. If you haven't joined yet, we would love to have you. People post amazing pictures like this every single day, and we're going to have some nice weather the next few days, but here's what you need to know. Our last storm is now off to our southeast. High pressure will build over the weekend, so we'll have nice weather. Saturday, we're warming up, and we're going to have some dry conditions, but tomorrow is still going to be really cool. And then by Sunday, we've got our next storm dropping in from the north by Sunday afternoon. So we'll get to all those details in just a second. A live look from our Oak Grove cam, a beautiful view across the Salt Lake Valley tonight. Temperatures here in Salt Lake City currently 26 degrees, feeling like 19 though, so it is chilly out there and it will be very cold when you wake up tomorrow morning, but we have full visibility and we also have dry roads, which is fantastic. Now, if you're up in the mountains with how cold it has been and how cold it's going to be tonight, if there's any fresh snow, you very well will still have some slick spots, so keep that in mind and still travel with caution. We also have some wind to talk about in lower Washington counties. So speaking of travel, we could end up with some travel impacts in southwest Utah. Plus, we could end up with a few areas with yards if you've got some unsecured items outside that could be blowing around. So we want to keep our eye on that. But tonight, we could see some record lows warming up for this weekend. Then we have some more chances for some rain and snow. Let's get to the good stuff. Clear sky in Sandy, Harriman, Tooele, Magna, Layton, Ogden. Because of the clear sky, our temperatures are going to go into a free fall tonight. So down in Bluffdale, Kearns, Bountiful, up through Kaysville, we have mostly clear sky into Lehigh, Utah County, and then our gustiest condition is mainly south of I-70 this evening. So we'll have cold temperatures for you tonight, so a chilly start tomorrow morning. If you've got kids that usually walk to school and you have the opportunity tomorrow morning, I would make sure they're fully bundled, or if you can drive them tomorrow morning, it'd be really nice because it's going to be so cold out there. By tomorrow afternoon, 37 degrees. So we're going to have below average temperatures by almost 20 degrees for our daytime highs tomorrow. 6 o'clock in the morning, around 10 to 15 degrees for much of the Wasatch Front. Tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake, it'll be in the teens. We'll have a chilly morning, temperatures above freezing right at lunchtime tomorrow, and then we're hardly warming up. Highs will be about 40 degrees for Salt Lake, Ogden, and Tooele. Provo, upper 30s, Price, upper 30s, Cedar City in the 40s. Chance for precipitation here in Salt Lake starts to go up Sunday night, but you'll notice we're looking at scattered precipitation, so it's not going to be terribly widespread. Then we'll see some more chances for some rain and snow middle of next week. We'll get to those details coming up later in the hour. But for St. George, close to 60 for Friday, closer to 70 Saturday and Sunday. Here in Salt Lake City, we're close to 40 tomorrow, closer to 50 on Saturday, and then we'll see a chance for some rain late Sunday. Let's talk more about the cold temperatures tonight and what you can expect out of that storm this weekend coming up.
The biggest annual survey of youth about tobacco use with a twist. Because of online learning, what they found about whether tobacco use goes up or down with in-person schooling.
Once a year, we get results from a massive national survey about teens and the use of tobacco.
Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth takes an in-depth look at some of those most interesting results.
The National Youth Tobacco Survey gives us a view of how many middle and high school students use cigarettes, e-cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and other products. And thanks to one product in particular, a lot of students are still choosing to use tobacco. Question: have you ever used a tobacco product? 1 in 9 middle school students said yes. 1 in 3 high school students said yes. Question: have you used a tobacco product in the last 30 days? 1 in 25 middle schoolers said yes. About 1 in 7 high schoolers said yes. E-cigarettes dominate high school and middle school tobacco use. In fact, it's been that way since 2014. In 2021, 24.1% of all students surveyed said they had tried tobacco. 19.4% had tried e-cigs. Only 8.1% had tried traditional cigarettes. Tobacco use was far more prevalent in students who reported psychological distress or poor grades in school. White students and students whose households spoke English as the primary language were also more likely to try tobacco. The 2021 survey was conducted online because of COVID-19 school closures, and that allowed for a unique result. Students who attended school in person were more likely to smoke than students learning online. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As gas prices continue to rise, many people are looking at how they can get better mileage when they fill up their tank. I'll have ways you can do that coming up.
A Utah man is facing federal charges accused of distributing fentanyl in Summit County. Tonight, the link police say he has to the overdose deaths of 2 Park City teens.
The Utah ski team going after their 15th national championship, and they're doing it here at home. We'll have a day 1 recap coming up.
They sat abandoned and unknown in some bowels of the church basement somewhere.
And did you know Utah almost had its own alphabet? The pioneer era relic with a curious history. Coming up. Welcome back, everyone. Right now, as we continue to feel the financial impact of rising gas prices, many people are looking for any way they can to ease some of the pain at the pump.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with a local tire and auto service shop about what you can do to improve your gas mileage.
No matter where you look, gas prices sitting well over $4 a gallon, up 12 cents a gallon from Wednesday morning. It's something Kylie Johnson saw firsthand when she filled up first thing Thursday morning.
Went to fill up my tank and I spent $75 when normally I spend between $55 and $60.
Which is why Johnson decided to get her tires checked out.
My tires were worn and I wanted to get them to replace to help with the gas mileage.
Robbie Carter, a manager at Big O Tires, says they've seen about a 30% increase of business as of late, something he partially attributes to the rising prices at the pump. Carter says when it comes to getting better gas mileage, it all starts with your tires.
Some of the biggest things that people can do to get better fuel economy from their cars is A, keep your air pressures at the manufacturer's recommended inflation.
Carter says for most cars with passenger tires, you want to keep them at 32 to 38 pounds per square inch.
We get the data right here for the tire specs to put the proper air inflation for front and rear tires.
For trucks, he says that number goes as high as 80 pounds per square inch. Carter says several other things help play a role in better gas mileage. He points to getting your wheels aligned. Carter says having clean air filters, getting the proper maintenance and tune-ups done should help improve the mileage you are getting.
Of course, more pollutants and the cars aren't running right or driving right, then it's going to cost more to maintain and more to run.
For those like Johnson, while she's making sure her car's in tip-top shape, she's hoping gas prices will take a turn for the better.
It is absolutely crazy what the prices have done in the last week.
One other thing Carter told me that will help with better gas mileage is by obeying the speed limit. He said you get better fuel economy when you go 70 rather than 90 miles per hour. In downtown Salt Lake, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you want to check for the cheapest gasoline in your area, Fox 13 News has you covered. Grab your phone and scan the QR code we have on the screen right now. That will take you to the fox13now.com page where you can find the prices in your neighborhood. You can also go to fox13now.com and search gas prices.
Right now, a Las Vegas man is sitting in the Salt Lake County jail facing federal charges for allegedly distributing fentanyl in Summit County. Now, police believe It is the same man who sold the fentanyl, which led to the death of 2 Park City teens back in 2016. He is 21-year-old Colin Shepard, and until his arrest this week, he was a college student down at UNLV in Las Vegas. When fentanyl pills reemerged recently in the Park City area, DEA task force officers who were part of the investigation 6 years ago believed that he was at it once again.
It has touched the lives of a lot of people in the Park City area in Summit County. When you look back at these two young men that that are deceased, this is probably going to reopen wounds, from that time.
The suspect was arrested inside his UNLV dorm room earlier this week and quickly brought back to Salt Lake City for his initial court appearance on Wednesday. Shepard now faces 6 counts of distributing fentanyl in Utah. If convicted, he could be looking at 20 years in federal prison.
For the past few months, police officers and former prosecutors have been increasingly outspoken in their criticism of Utah County Attorney David Leavitt. They accuse him of being soft on crime and making the county more dangerous. Now, state lawmakers have passed a bill specifically targeting Leavitt's policies.
Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbets found out what the new law hopes to accomplish.
I ran on a platform to change the culture of the Utah County Attorney's Office.
Utah County Attorney David Leavitt is a Republican who has never been shy about sharing his progressive ideas to reform the criminal justice system.
Ultimately, it's up to the voters how they feel about the job that the county attorney's doing.
But now some Republican lawmakers have joined police and a group of former prosecutors who are concerned that Leavitt has gone too far, undercharging criminal cases.
I'll just acknowledge that there's no question that that bill is a direct result of some of the policies that we've seen from our county attorney, David Leavitt.
Mr. Leavitt, at the present time, has indicated that he will basically do what he wants.
Curtis Larson left the Utah County Attorney's office as a result of Leavitt's policies. He says the office almost always looked for a way to file less serious charges against suspects, often ignoring a defendant's criminal history.
Everybody, I think, understands what's going on nationally in places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Chicago, Baltimore, Philadelphia.
You just named some very blue cities, and there's no doubt Utah County is a very red county.
I don't believe that the policies and procedures that have been implemented by David Leavitt actually correspond with the values of the county.
House Bill 257 requires prosecutors to file less serious charges in justice court and more serious charges in district court. A spokesperson for Leavitt told Fox 13 News that he did not oppose the bill.
You know, he wasn't real happy about this and the timing, but I think that he can accept what we've done.
Reporting in Salt Lake City, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
For the past few months, Adam has also been reporting extensively on the way David Leavitt handles criminal cases against suspects he has a personal relationship with.
Now, Bob, Utah County has refused to release records related to those decisions, and Fox 13 News will be fighting for public access to those documents at a hearing in June. If you do have a story you would like the Fox 13 Investigates team to look into, send an email to iteam@fox13now.com.
Fox 13 News is shedding new light on concerns about the treatment of wild horses that are rounded up each year by the Bureau of Land Management. Over the last 50 years, almost 18,000 wild horses and burros have been removed and relocated from public lands the BLM oversees in Utah. Grace Kuhn with the American Wild Horse Campaign, a nonprofit that has been vocal against the BLM's roundups, shared concerns about the number of deaths after these horses are sent to privately owned corrals.
These unnecessary deaths that if these horses had been left out on the range, they wouldn't be dying from such injuries.
BLM spokesperson Lisa Reed says they try their best to prevent any deaths and believe the consequences would be even more devastating if they didn't control the population. The American Wild Horse Campaign says an appropriations bill just passed in Congress that will require the BLM to do more and spend $11 million on fertility control.
Coming up, a sentence 3 years in the making. The scene in the courtroom as actor Jussie Smollett is taken into custody. In national news, a dramatic scene unfolded in a Chicago courtroom today as a judge sentenced actor Jussie Smollett to roughly 5 months in jail.
The Empire actor was convicted in December of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct and making false reports to police. He told police 2 men attacked him in 2019, put a noose around his neck, and shouted racial and homophobic slurs. The judge sided with prosecutors who said the actor lied on the stand during his trial and never apologized for his actions.
I am not suicidal. Stop laughing about black. I am not suicidal, and I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Smollett was also ordered to pay the city of Chicago $120,000 in restitution and a $25,000 fine.
In Washington, D.C., Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is urging lawmakers to work together to pass a massive government funding bill. That's because the bill includes more than $3 billion in aid to Ukraine in the wake of Russia's invasion. Government funding is set to expire tomorrow. The House has already passed a short-term funding bill to prevent a government shutdown. Still ahead, it might look like a foreign language, but it's actually uniquely Utah. We've got the story for you when we come back.
And coming up in sports, a wild finish to the Utah State-Colorado State game in Las Vegas. And the Utes off to a good start at the NCAA Championships for skiing. And they're doing it right here in Utah. We'll take a look at day one competition.
It's now been 63 years since the citizens of Tibet rose up against the Chinese occupation of their country. And today, Tibetans in Utah and also all around the world, they held a rally to mark the anniversary. The uprising back in 1959 prompted the escape of the Dalai Lama to India. Rally goers say the Tibetan people, they're still being persecuted by the Chinese and want more freedom for their countrymen in culture, religion, and language.
2 Ken Garff auto dealerships are donating $10,000 to Catholic Community Services to furnish apartments for refugees. The new residents are streaming into Utah and are able to find a place to live, but they have no furniture in their new homes. Garff employees set up the first refugee apartment today for an Afghan family of 5.
Well, this summer, Utah will celebrate the 175th anniversary of the arrival of the Mormon pioneers.
Few people, if any, impacted Utah as much as Brigham Young. Cities and towns he founded are still thriving today. But an alphabet he championed, not so much.
Fox 13 News reporter Todd Tanner has the curious tale of the Deseret Alphabet in this installment of Uniquely Utah.
Amongst the thousands of items at Ken Sanders Rare Books in Salt Lake City, you might find a few with curious characters.
They're completely unintelligible.
At first glance, the script might appear Arabic.
It's sort of a language, but it's not. It's phonetic language.
It's called the Deseret Alphabet.
Brigham Young had complete and utter autonomy and power.
Bear in mind that when Mormons arrived in what we now know as Utah, they were truly isolated.
And it was outside the United States. This was Mexico.
Everything from candles to currency had to be made, and under the direction of Brigham Young, George Watt created the Deseret Alphabet.
Let's say it's one of his more half-baked ideas.
So you would read these different characters but speak the words in English, is that right?
Yes.
Some historians say the alphabet was intended to streamline languages for church members arriving from different parts of the world. But others believe it was
to get them all using a language, the secret code that nobody else could speak.
Either way, 4 books were published in the alphabet, including the Book of Mormon.
And then for the school kids to learn it, they did a Deseret first book, Deseret second book, and a Book of Nephi, the first 116 pages from the Book of Mormon.
Those 3 were considered instructional books.
See, there's your pronouncing guide right there.
And are often called readers.
The readers were produced in 10,000 print runs. They sat abandoned and unknown in some bowels of the church basement somewhere. And in the 1960s, they were discovered. The BYU bookstore, Deseret Book, Sam Weller's all had stacks of them, 50 cents each. I get $300 out of them now, mind you.
A complete Book of Mormon in the Deseret Alphabet?
It's truly rare and can fetch between $5,000 and $10,000 for a copy.
Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News, Utah.
$5,000 and $10,000 a copy.
Pricey. Gosh, I have never heard of this before.
Isn't it fascinating?
It really is.
So much of those early years has been forgotten, put in the basement, like Todd said.
Well, those books are valuable now, and if those prices are out of your budget, no problem, kind of.
Examples of the alphabet can be found online, and one website even has a translator that allows you to type in English and see the results in the Deseret Alphabet. We have a link to it on our website, fox13now.com.
Very cool.
Very cool. And speaking of cool and cold, we're going to have record lows possible tonight for parts of the state. But first, let's start with the wind that is howling in southwest Utah. We have wind advisories for lower Washington County until 11 a.m., highlighted in beige. I-15 south of New Harmony down through St. George. Use caution while driving and also secure outdoor objects. We are likely going to see this strongest wind between now and midnight near Black Ridge Canyon and Beaver Dam. There's a wind advisory for lower Washington County until 11 a.m. tomorrow, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible, which means we could see some power outages. So anytime there's ever a wind event in the forecast, I always recommend keeping your phone fully charged just in case you lose that power. Let me look at this future wind for you. Through 11:30 tonight, we're going to see this wind strongest in Washington County. Once we get past midnight tonight, we'll still continue with some wind gusts, but likely not as strong through tomorrow afternoon. Things will be dying down late morning. Here along the Wasatch Front, when you first wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures in the teens. So it'll be about 15 to 20 when you first wake up tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. clear, 8 a.m. sunny, keeping it sunny into tomorrow afternoon, but we are hardly warming up. Tonight, a beautiful sunset, Heber Valley. Thank you so much to Brent for posting this in our Facebook group, Utah's Weather Authority. If you haven't joined us yet, viewers sending in awesome pictures and videos like this every single day. If you want a little bit of positivity in your Facebook news feed. Satellite and radar here across northern Utah, clear skies, Salt Lake, Magna, Tooele, Cedar Fort, Fairfield, down through Provo, Lehigh, Layton, Ogden, up through the Cache Valley. We have mostly clear sky. Through central Utah, clear sky, Manti, Richfield, Loa, down through Panguitch, Cedar, St. George. It's just the wind is very noticeable in southern Utah right now. Salt Lake City right now, it's noticeably cold, currently 26, feeling like 19, so that's what you need to be dressing for if you're heading out to run any quick errands before bedtime or heading out for a night shift. At 7 o'clock tomorrow morning will be about 15 degrees for Utah County, Provo, and Eagle Mountain. Closer to 20 degrees at that time for Tooele, Salt Lake, and Ogden. So we'll have those temperatures dropping into the teens this evening, and then by tomorrow afternoon here in Salt Lake, highs near 40. Ogden upper 30s, Provo 34 degrees. Looking at central and southern Utah, Cedar City 42, Richfield 38. St. George 60 degrees tomorrow just about, and then for eastern Utah, Moab mid-40s, close to 40 for Price, and then for Vernal upper 30s for the Uinta Basin tomorrow. In the Salt Lake Valley, good air quality for Friday, but by Saturday tracking voluntary action and moderate air quality. We keep you dry through the weekend with high pressure. Our next storm moves in late in the day on Sunday. St. George close to 60 degrees on Friday, 67 on Saturday, close to 70 Sunday, Monday. And for the Wasatch Front, 40 tomorrow, 50 on Saturday, mid-40s on Sunday, chance for some rain late in the day. Could see some snow mixing in. Then we'll see those temperatures back close to 50 middle of next week with some more chances for rain and snow.
We want to turn now to breaking news just into the Fox 13 newsroom. Crews with Salt Lake City Fire, they have gotten a third alarm fire at an apartment complex now under control. These are images from the scene. This is happening at 241 West and 300 South. Again, this is in downtown Salt Lake City. Officials say the complex is vacant and there were no injuries. The cause of the fire is now under investigation.
The Utah ski team going after their 15th national title this weekend as they host the NCAA championships at Park City Mountain Resort and Soldier Hollow. This is the Nordic events from Midway, where the Utah women placed 3 of the 6 finishers, including the champion, Novi McCabe, was first in just over 10 minutes and 19 seconds, edging out fellow teammate and Olympian in Beijing, Sophia Lauke, who finished second. McCabe loves the honor, but is more focused on what the team can achieve.
I think, our team was really strong last year, but is really strong again this year, and like the Alpiners too, so it's fun to be going for another all together.
In the men's 10K, Utah was led by Luke Jaeger in 12th. Utes currently lead the team in scoring. The men's and women's slalom will take place tomorrow, with the championships ending on Saturday. College basketball, Sean Bairstow with the hammer for Utah State against Colorado State in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament. Got tight down the stretch. The Aggies get it inside to Brandon Horvath. He led the Aggies with 17. Then it's Justin Bean. He stays with it and scores. Utah State up 1 with just over 3 minutes to play. Controversial play here. Bean is knocked to the floor. The Aggies down 2, but they call an offensive foul. You make the call. That should have been a block. Instead, a charge. It was tied in the final seconds. The Rams get it to Chandler Jacobs. He scores, put the Rams up 2. The Aggies needed a miracle at the buzzer. They did not get it. Colorado State won it 53-51, knocking the Aggies out of the tournament. Weber State took on Montana in the quarterfinals of the Big Sky. Dylan Jones had a big game for the Wildcats. 3 of his team high 23 points. And here's Kobe McEwen, drives inside, reverse layup. He had 17 points. This all part of a 17-1 Weber State run in the second half, capped by this play. First the steal, then the breakaway jam from J.J. Overton. Weber State won it 68-56 to advance to the semifinals. Southern Utah took on Portland State, another Big Sky quarterfinal. John Knight III, the throwdown for the Thunderbirds. They were down at 11, and the Vikings stayed on front. Khalid Thomas led them with 20 points. Portland State won at 77-65, eliminating Southern Utah. Utah Valley women took on UT Rio Grande Valley in the second round of the WAC tournament. Megan Jensen scored 8 straight points to cap a 14-0 UVU run. Then it's Maria Carvalho with one of her 6 three-pointers. Utah Valley won at 72-57 to advance to the semifinals. So a couple winners, a couple losers.
My goodness.
The ski team going after number 15th national champion.
Wow, they're really good.
Really good, yeah.
There were some awesome dunks in those men's games.
I tend to look for those.
Really good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. We'll be right back. Finally, an Eagle Mountain Elementary School has been sending its students around the world, kind of. Starting in September, Hidden Hollow Elementary began tracking the distance students traveled if they walked, rode a bike or scooter, carpooled, rode the bus. The program began. Students have logged more than 42,000 miles.
Wow, keep it going. Good
walking
exercise.
And walking.
That's
yeah.
Great. Quick Cast is next. Thanks for being with us tonight.